I'm great. I just want to say I love your film, Chestnut. I actually connected with it kind of deeply because I was in a similar situation when I graduated college, but
I'm
I
sorry.
thought we could, start talking about, the inspiration for this project and why this particular period in your life was, so important.
For sure. I think in regards to that time in my life, I really wanted to make something that was important to me. And I found that a lot of the moments in my life that were really important to me weren't um, these big, grand
Right.
moments. They
Yeah.
were the kind of the liminal space that ended up teaching me a lot more than those bigger moments. So it wasn't really like graduation that I was like, this was this, seminal moment.
Yeah.
It was the time after that. And I think for me at least, I learn much more about myself and also the person I want to be
Mhm.
when I have space for freedom and to explore and to, I guess, devote more time to internally process how I'm feeling,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I love that. And Natalia is like amazing. I mean,
She's
I love
incredible.
her from Stranger Things, but
Hmm.
seeing her in this role, she was just amazing in her vulnerability and how she kind of underplayed it, but you could feel so much from so little. So can you
Definitely.
talk about how you found her for this main character, Annie, and like working with her and developing this character?
Yeah. Similarly to you, I was a fan of Stranger Things. And I had seen an interview with her, out of her character.
Hmm.
And I felt very like akin to her, me personally. And she also felt a lot like this character. And
Mm.
that was just based off of like an interview. So I I already had cast Rachel Keller. She's a dear friend of mine, and
Mhm.
her and Rachel shared an agent. So
Oh,
it
okay.
was a very easy kind of like connection to make. And so Natalia and I had a coffee and hit it off, and all of my, assumptions were correct. And
Yes.
yeah, and so she came on, thankfully, and we started by just kind of like talking over email a lot before she
Yeah.
landed on set. And we had these long email back and forths where basically we would talk about like our lives at that time, like that young
Yeah.
20s, kind of like in between not really knowing where your life is gonna end up
Hmm.
being, and
Hmm.
just shared a lot. And I think both of us processed very emotionally, and we just talked a lot about like, I guess, how we deal and connect with other
Right.
people. So
Yeah.
I found we spoke the same language a lot of the time, and it was just an incredibly um, gratifying and easy process. She was
Yeah.
incredible in every way, shape, and form.
Yeah, and I love watching films where it transports you to a time. Like I'm 40, so I'm kind of older, but I remember my 20s when I was just feeling things out. I was going out with people, just like Annie's character does. And
Mhm.
like you don't want your life all mapped out for you. You want to kind of just feel it. And I love how you captured that. I thought it was so great. And then, I'd love to hear how it was working with Lizzie Shapiro and your other producer, Lexi. I mean, Lizzie, she had experience with Shiba Baby, and I just feel like this is kind of her, space, I guess you could say,
Sure.
or kind of film. So how was it working with both of them?
Incredible.
Yeah.
I met Lizzie through a friend of mine in actually it was in like pretty deep pandemic. So I had sent her my script and she got back to me and was like, I love this. This is
Yeah.
exactly the movie I want to make next. It was almost like fever dreamy for me because I had looked for a long time for a producer and I met with a bunch of different ones and I was like, this just doesn't feel quite right. And
Hmm.
when I met with Lizzie, it was almost like we had known each other for years and we had a lot of like similar family background and stuff. So it was
Ah,
very funny. Like it felt
yeah,
very much like a friend I had had my whole life.
that's so
So
great.
yeah, and it was really special. And so we started working together um pretty quickly. And then it was probably we had been working together for almost a year
Mm.
before Chestnut started filming. And Lexi Tannenholt came on in our like right before our pre-production.
Okay.
Kind of like right when we got all our financing and we were ready to kind of begin. And in a funny way, like it felt similarly when I met Lexi and I was like, oh,
Hmm.
we're all like young, like New York, like
Yes.
Boca, like we have this weird kind of like connection.
Hmm.
So it definitely like we all felt very quickly like a family. So
Oh, that's so great. And then you got
yeah,
Rhiannon. I like
and she's
Rhiannon is
incredible as
amazing.
well.
Yeah.
Both Rhiannon and Lexi, when they came on, actually like were people who um asked great questions, which I love. I love when I
Hmm.
get to like not only answer and give answers that feel like they make them feel more confident about coming onto the movie, but it also make challenges me and makes me think about, oh yeah, why is that? Why am I doing that?
Yeah, right,
It was
right.
really gratifying, like to have those other inputs because film is such a collaborative process.
Yeah, for sure. And I love how you bring like this queer story to the screen because I feel like this is, oh, my lights just went out. I don't know why, but anyways, I feel like this is like such a great story. And I was reading in your bio how you're passionate about bringing queer stories to the screen. And can you talk a little bit about that? Like just, yeah. Mhm.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm very, very passionate about that.
Yeah.
I came out when I was in college and I um didn't have a lot of media um
Hmm.
depicting like how I felt at the
Yes.
time. I think a lot of queer stories center around this like it's funny actually. I never really thought about this until right now, but a lot of queer stories center around the main thing, which is coming out.
Yes.
So like the main
Yes.
moment, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And I found that I never really had this like giant, like tumultuous coming out. Like I was just kind of like, oh, I'm gay, and I don't
Right,
know
right.
like
Yeah.
how else. Like it was kind of not a big deal. So
Yeah.
I always wanted to have more representation of people who are queer that
Yes.
is not centered around the fact that they are queer. So
Exactly. I love
yeah,
that.
I
Mhm.
really like sorry for the horn.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, you're good. You're good.
In New York. Yeah, but I really make it a mission in my work, anything I write, to showcase, I think, what it feels like to
Hmm.
operate from, I guess, a queer perspective, or
Yes.
like operate from being this person instead of
Mhm.
focusing on like what that particularly is. It's like I'm looking
Yeah.
at what it looks like, what it feels like, how it moves, how it sounds. Whereas like I just wanted to make a movie about this painful thing in this time
Mhm.
in life. And
Mhm.
then she also just happens to be queer. And it's like,
Exactly.
you
I
know,
love that.
it's
Hmm.
not really like about it being
That.
gay. And
Yeah,
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 I
yeah.
think that's just as important to show as the other queer stories that focus around the bigger moments.
Exactly. And I love authentic stories because you could just tell this is authentic. And I think that's exciting a lot of people, just from what I've seen on the letterbox and all that. So that it's really cool. Did you want to talk about just a little bit about your DP and your composer? Because I really feel like you set the mood like for this film like really well. And how was that collaborative process working with them?
It was incredible as well. I am really particular about, I mean, as any filmmaker is, but about the look of the film and also
Mhm.
the sound of the film.
Yes.
So, and it's interesting you ask this question together because they are closely tied. I feel like,
Yeah.
musical
Hmm.
composition is just as important as visual composition. So,
Yep.
um, my cinematographer and I, and my composer and I both listened to this playlist of music that I created, that I wrote Chestnut to, that a lot of it ended up in the movie. And
Mm.
that really helped us mold a tone to the film.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
as per my relationship with Matt Clegg, who is my cinematographer, he and I talked about references and other films that we liked. He introduced me to um the film Rosetta by the Dardenne
Oh
brothers,
yeah.
which is a
Hmm.
beautiful film.
Yes.
He introduced me to I'd never seen Morgan Caller, which was
Oh
kind of
wow.
like
Yeah,
a
that's a good one. Yeah.
yeah, and it was kind of like a
That's a mood one for sure.
for sure. And
Yeah.
but it's just this naturalistic, my word I kept using, I just wanted to mimic real life. I want to feel
Hmm.
like the
Hmm.
audience is in the bar with them, like
Yes.
watching the fly on the wall. So I really wanted the camera to kind of act as a conduit for like what another person would be seeing. So it was a lot of these, as we called it, like follow the emotion shots where, I
Mm.
would just have him kind of like be on a rig and have the camera on the rig and just follow around and just kind of feel out where the emotion of the scene would be. And sometimes it would be he would place the camera on the person that was having the emotional moment, and sometimes it would be on
Wow.
the person receiving.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was really special and interesting to see how he, like, what his emotional instincts were, because sometimes they were different than mine,
Mhm.
but either way they were impactful in the way that
Yeah.
the film needed to be. So I
Mhm.
felt I've trusted him a lot, and his like emotional resonance to what these characters were going through. So
Yeah.
that was a great experience. And then as per my composer Keegan DeWitt,
Mhm.
um we had a like almost similar experience where we listened to the playlist that I made of music, and we kind of tried to emulate the other
Mhm.
music in on the playlist for our score for the movie. And a lot of synth, a lot of
Yes.
um,
Yeah.
kind of like we tried to couple this like coming of age, like early, like it almost, I wanted to feel very nostalgic both
Mhm.
visually and orally. So I wanted it to feel like very like almost like that sweet spot of the early 2010s. And maybe that's because
Yes.
that's when I was kind of like going to college and stuff. And yeah, so we just, he had sent me a bunch of tracks going to shoot, and
Mhm.
kind of like I listened to them and had this little soundtrack of the movie beforehand. So once we kind of got into the meat of it, it was already being formed for a while, and it was a really beautiful process and meant a
Yeah.
lot to
That's so great. And then
me.
this is, yeah, I would say this is my final question, unless you want to add anything on top of
No, I
after
mean,
this
ask away.
question. But this is a question I ask pretty much everyone I interview, and I always get the best answer. So I'm like, I hate being repetitive, but it always is the best question. So, what do you hope people see in your film?
Oh, it's a good question.
Yeah.
Um, I think, I mean, for anything I make, I always hope people see themselves.
Mhm.
I'm sure that's a common answer, but I think it is important to me to be able to mirror queer representation, like to
Mhm.
mirror the queer experience rather, than just giving representation. I think like to have somebody watch something and be like, "Ugh, that's what I went through," like how you said, like,
Mhm. Mhm.
um, I know it has given me personally a lot of solace, watching and reading things, um, that mimic my experience. Yeah, I want to say like ego wise many other things that I hope people experience from this
Right,
film.
right.
But I think truly the most important thing to me is that people feel seen by it. And I think I always wanted to feel more seen by things when I was younger. And yeah, I hope that this did that for little me and hopefully a lot of other people.
Yeah, I definitely feel that just based on what I've read from people who've seen the film, and I'm so excited. And it's coming to streaming today, right? People can
Yes,
watch it digitally.
today is
Okay.
the day.
Yeah, is
Yeah,
it on like
it's
most
anywhere you
platforms?
can, yeah, anywhere you can rent or buy films.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think all the ones you're thinking of where you can, purchase it
Yeah,
is there.
yeah. Okay, well, I'll make sure to put links so people can watch this. I really love this film. I love how authentic it is, and I love how it just really connects on a time in people's life that I feel like isn't shown enough. So thank
Yeah,
you for this film. And
thank you. Thank
yeah,
you. I really
it'll be,
appreciate it.
yeah, and have a great rest of your day. So thanks for
Thanks.
speaking
You
with me.
too.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. All right. We just ended the live. Oh, okay.